Folks, hello, good day. As we used to say in the Army, give me the bottom line up front. BLUF, B-L-U-F, bottom line up front. It's a great acronym. Great acronym, I love it. So I'm going to get to the bluff right now, respective of these torque tube bearings. I effed up, okay? I own it. I completely own it. Let me show you what I'm talking about. So, the 79 calls for 3 bearings to go in the torque tube. As you know, yesterday I put the drive shaft in backwards, so I pulled it out. In pulling it out, the bearings fell apart. Now, I got these bearings from 928s R Us. They're still serviceable, but this rubber sleeve came off on 2 of the 3 bearings. So I was able to put them back in, but I was only able to glue it in. Excuse me. Glue it in with the Gorilla Glue. And here's the mess it leaves. So now this bearing is all locked up. I'll have to clean it out like I cleaned this bearing. There's still probably a little bit more goo and debris in here somewhere, but it spins. There's no obstructions, which is good. So my question is, has anybody doubled up these bearings to try to emulate the Black Sea R&D department's aftermarket torque tube bearings that are about this wide? Now, I wish that I knew these options were out there to purchase a much more expensive set of bearings, but that exceeds the stock thin ones, because I want to, make something that lasts a long time and put the best quality stuff in there. So I'm debating whether or not to buy another 3 bearings from the same source I got these from, double them up inside of the torque tube, and then secure them in there, or throw these out and buy the $750 bearings from R&D Black Sea. So, what do y'all think? What have y'all experienced? What do you anticipate? Granted, the torque tube is neglected on all these cars. It has been for many, many years, and there's a handful of us 928 enthusiasts that are actually spending the time and money and effort to actually improve these cars. And I'm grateful for the folks that are out there supplying parts for these cars. That's an awesome thing. So there's no complaints. It's just situations that you need to negotiate around and get through. So that's my question. Can you double these up? Have you doubled them up? Does it improve it? Does it mitigate vibrations? And is it just better? Let me know what you think, what you know by experience. Okay? Cheers. Hey friends, I just want to insert this video in here talking about the torque tube bearings. And you'll see in the video here coming up that the bearing, after it popped out of the bearing holder, the large piece with the rubber embossed ribs around it that goes in the torque tube, the bearing that's inside of that is really, really narrow. It's probably about maybe 10 to 12 millimeters in width. And I was thinking, I was watching this video spread that you're watching right now, all the videos put together, and I thought, why in the world didn't the manufacturer or the aftermarket or even Porsche make that bearing a little bit wider, maybe at least the width of the bearing holder, the actual rubber plug piece, the rubber insert that the bearing rides in, that clamps the inside
of the torque tube. Why didn't Porsche and them guys make that wider? It's really bizarre. So I'm, just wanted to insert that into this video just for food of thought. I know that Black Sea R&D makes the wider bearing. I know that the footprint of the rubber on the inside of the torque tube is much wider. And I'm assuming, I don't know this for sure yet, but I'm assuming that the bearing itself is wider. So in all honesty, I'm not sure I'm going to go with the Black Sea R&D research because they are expensive, and my customer, it comes down to money. They're really spending a lot of money on this car, and the car's not really worth that much. So I can't just, operate like open checkbook. So I'll probably reuse the bearings I have and buy 2 more and put a total of 4 in that torque tube. I'm thinking to do that. I don't want to do too much, but I don't want to do too little. I want to do something, maybe I can improve it, but not cause it to be, worse. So I'm going to insert this video into that. So continue watching. Thanks. Bye-bye.
Three bearings go in the 1979 torque tube. 3 bearings, these are all brand new. Last couple days, I was taking umbrage with bearings being prone to failure. They fall apart. The one part that I will stay by and stick by and stand by is this rubber plug on the inside, right there where my index finger is. That came out on the first go-around. First go-around was because I put the drive shaft in wrong end first. I own that. That is my F up. So, because 2 of these rubber plug things, these little rubber protecting ring right there around my finger, 2 of the 3 of those came out when I was putting the drive shaft into the torque tube. And then I realized that the drive shaft was in the wrong way first, so I removed the drive shaft and then removed these bearings. And then 2 of the 3, I used Gorilla Glue to glue this rubber gasket ring thing on the inside. And this is one of the ones that is glued. And it still is on there. It still is good. It's still in place. And I put the bearings back in, put the drive shaft in the correct orientation, got it in, and then I discovered that 2 of the bearings, the main bearing itself here, popped out. And because of that, when these bearings were all lined up inside the torque tube, when this thing popped out, it got sideways. So when you pull the bearings, they get crooked. So it gets jammed up. So I devised all kinds of ways earlier today, put a chain around it, come along, tie it on something hard, try to pull it out. No go, not gonna work. Then I took my Sawzall, stuck it in there, cut that, thinking I could collapse it. No go. So then I went and changed the tool I made into a pushing tool to push the bearings out. So right here I had to rig it up, welded the nut on the shaft onto the plate, came up here, rigged up this end, bought a threaded rod, put it on securely, welded up 2 nuts right here, two of these nuts together to make a wider turning nut right there, as you can see. It worked. Punched them out, no problem. And this is where my biggest F up is. And this is where I didn't pay attention. Observe this side of this bearing, and then observe that. They kind of look the same, don't they? This is where I failed, what I failed to mention, or what I failed to even notice. There is a ring in there to keep that from happening. So in other words, I either put the bearings in wrong way, this way versus this way, and or I push the drive shaft in incorrectly relative to the way these bearings are placed. Now I know when I put the bearings in, I did not pay any attention. I just put them in, lined them up, but I didn't realize this. Right there. That ring. Right there on the inside. I know it now. So here's the lesson that I've learned. I can share with y'all. Pay attention to these bearings, which way they are, how they go in, and pay attention to which way you push the drive shaft in. Now when I put these in, because I'm going to reuse this one, I'm probably going to reuse this one, press it in, but I'm going to probably buy 2 more bearings and put 4 in there. I don't know. That's debatable whether or not I'll do that or not. But I'm going to pay attention to put these in the correct orientation. So if I put them in this way, I will insert the drive shaft this way. Now, there is a risk that this rubber gasket thing will come out again. So I'm going to mitigate that from the very beginning. I'm going to take this rubber gasket ring out, and I'm going to glue it in on the bearings that are going back in that drive shaft. Glue it in place so I don't have this problem. And then make sure that I put this in so the drive shaft goes this way as I install it. And that way, the bearing will run right up against that race or that flange that my finger's running up against on right now. So, there's the lesson, my friends. I learned it the hard way. I should have noticed it, but I did not. There you go. Have a good day. Tschüss.